right, here we go again. So I guess they have already identified fraud, waste, and abuse, or whatever they want to call it. Just tightened the belt in New York City a bit. Again, most likely there's more to it. Now, here's something to understand, and you probably do. It's just when you speak about it, when we speak about things, we our mind searches for answers, and our mind kind of enforces the system that we need, and that's checks and balances. So here's an example. Let's say in your rehab program, you have a contractor, and the contractor's not giving you what was specified by a long shot. The reason, a lot of times, the reason we engage in certain social programs is because, and the reason that we can, is because we save money somewhere else. So we know that if we spend money here, we won't have any emergency unchecked spending over there or as much. When we engage in rehab and rehousing, the expected return is that the amount of funding that we spend on EMS calls and police calls involving addicted, unhoused people should decrease. But if you're not getting, so you're, it's beyond losing the money that you put into the project. Not getting your return from that money, as far as that cash value. Let's say you funded the program for $1 million, but what you're also not receiving is the reduction in your EMS and the reduction in your police calls. And there's other things also that go along with that. So it's like it's much larger than just simply not getting the money out of your contract or getting the services out of your contract for the money that you're spending. So apparently, I saw a video where this Victor guy had somebody previously that went through the rehab, and of course, people who go through rehab end up back out there again sometimes. It'd be interesting. Again, the idea is to find. See, I don't know what he does on aftercare because there's counselors. I think on the aftercare, we have to make sure that they're speaking to doctors or psychologists, because it'd be interesting to find out what triggered her. Something triggered her. It may have been an actual event in her life versus anything else. Yeah, she may have over again. I was providing information about the brain freeze of the ADHD people. One of the byproducts of that mechanism of stress, of overthinking something, is most likely re-engaging in addictive narcotic use. So they have to develop the strategy for their particular issue, and that issue may be healable if it's something that we can see and understand. Based upon clinical psychology, okay, so you're addicted, and if I go to clinical psychology, I can look and, well, what in somebody's life could cause? There's a whole bunch of things. And if we can identify the event, we may be able to take that person past the event, is what I was trying to explain. If something caused the panic attack, low self-esteem, whatever the totality of these things are that causes a person to run for the narcotic, but also even in the absence of narcotics use, it's not over because there's these other things that, brain freeze and everything else. They're trying to get them back to, well housing, a job, that type of thing. So once you understand what it is, sometimes it really is self-esteem building. Like, you're okay. Don't worry. It doesn't matter that this is happening. And again, I think that's part of what I'm speaking about with Eliana Alaya. I'm trying to mind information to her mind. And again, I think I've said things over the years to her. Right? I can't remember all the posts. It wasn't all that much. I mean, I didn't contact her at all, really, for very much at all. I couldn't find even anything online. Um, but the idea is upon this idea that we're going to pass along, or we could pass along. And again, that's actually the weird part is that's every day. We never really think of it that way, but just walking out your door, you could pass away. Like here, I could walk out the door and a bear could attack me, although they usually don't attack people around here. For some reason, when I talk about them, I connect to them. I don't know what it is. I probably have a lot of connectivity in Pennsylvania related to wildlife. So, well, again, unraveling what it actually is. It's kind of you got to a lot of it's kid gloves, but at a certain point, you have to figure out why you have to use the kid gloves. What is it that's triggering? And it could, like I said, it could just be low self esteem from tragedy after. I learned a lot of this, and again, I didn't have to learn it this way. I could have went to school, but I learned what the deep state was doing and what they're actually what they want from it. They're constantly cause tragedy in your life, constantly cause stress. They're trying to cause these psychological disorders. And in fact, some of your addicted people have been caused to be addicted by a cell of these deep state operators that work for whoever, including narcotics distributors. And again, when somebody gets on the street, sexuality, a lot of prostitution, especially a woman, men too, but boys and things. But that in itself is damaging. So how do you get some past? And then if there's a sexually transmitted disease, because the drugs that they're medicating themselves with from some other trauma they received, just had them not care anymore. Right. So there's a ton of things that they have to deal with. And again, it's like being trafficked without somebody trafficking you per se. Well, because of the addiction, and then people that come and take advantage of them. I remember I was in York, Pennsylvania, and I went out for the evening. And I may have been, they may have been trying to set me up to kill me, actually. But, but at the end of the night, there were these women that just showed up all of a sudden. I know that happens in a club. And I wasn't a bad looking guy and all that. But I felt like this young lady was addicted. It just tore me apart not to actually help her, but I had no idea what it was going to become. Well, they were in the back, and I suspected they were using narcotics in the back of this club. And I just spoke to the bouncers. I don't think I talked to anybody else much. Spoke to a couple of the bouncers for a little while, and had a couple drinks, and that was it. But this young blonde lady, and I was just like, I just, I was deputy marshal. You can't take somebody like that and be with them. Who knows what they're going to say, kind of deal. Yeah. But it felt like maybe somebody was trying to set me up. Yeah, I don't forget much of what you all did. I might forget other things in my life, but not that. It is weird, but that's the idea. When you're in a government, you have to. you have again. I don't care if people get rich off of this stuff and they fudge a little bit, but we got to make sure we're getting our services. And that's probably what's causing the issue is we're not really getting our return. And then you can't just send somebody to detox and rehab. I mean, you got to spend years continuing that rehab. I like to find out what the hell made her reuse. Now, if she didn't have housing or something like that, then of course, yeah. Or maybe she was using within the housing facility and they threw her out. That's also a risk. Some of these ultra right wing Republican candidates, they're a mess. I mean, they're out there burning the Koran again and all that. That's unnecessary. That's exactly what, and then just back and forth with the Democrats on the street. Exactly what happened before that. What did they call it? January 6th. It's like being a street gang. I don't know if you have to let him run for the Republican Party can put him out. But it's more than burning the Koran. I guess he's burned the Talmud. It's an influencer, but he says he's running. I don't think. Do you have you don't have to let him run under your party title. You force him to run as an independent. They said he burned the Koran, but then they said he burned the Talmud before. One of his buddies pushed somebody, so the cops came over and cuffed him. I had to look at it twice. I'm like, why are they cuffing him? And then I noticed he pushed the person, so it's an assault. And the guy fell on top of it. Well, yeah, it's a Jewish holy book. So you got, I don't remember his name, but you can find him if you look online. Just Google the latest idiot, the latest MAGA idiot that burned the Talmud. McGidiots. That's what I call them, McGidiots. Right. We have to again. Democrats, they looked at it and go, well, oh no, they're going to find the fraud, but you have to. If you find the fraud, then they don't find it. And that was the one thing saving grace for Karen Bass. They were in on it. They found it. Also, I don't know if they were given a heads up or what, but they were working their side of it as far as the investigation from their side. And this is what I want to bring up, and I'm glad I'm going to get off here in a second, but and then I'll be back on for prayers. Uh, if the participants in the program didn't call and make a complaint, I don't think we would have found it. So that kind of tells you how widespread it could be. I mean, sometimes a lot of people don't want to call or say anything because they don't want to lose what they do have. You're afraid they'll put them out or something. Well, my point is in continuity of treatment. If you put somebody out completely that's using, then you got to start from scratch again, and you might have to anyway at a certain point. But you don't want to if they're willing to participate in counseling. You never want to stop that if you can continue it. I'm just not sure. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe she wasn't receiving counseling or the right kind of counseling. So again, we have to keep examining the programs. You don't have to put people in jail if you don't have to, but you need to make sure you're getting your money's worth. Otherwise, you'll never again like what's going on. Nobody can meet their budget requirements, but quite possibly, if you're not getting your services from the money you're spending, then you're not seeing your savings in the other programs where you're supposed to see it. And again, part of reducing the immigrant population is that we are better able to find the narcotics distribution. The sheer numbers of illegal aliens is just killing the ability to see into those communities. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God.